Hi, everybody. This is Mike Gerdes from the Greater Philadelphia Center for Spiritual Living with Wonder Dog Yoga, bringing you another love note. I was wondering, have you ever been in a situation where there was a bunch of little kids running around, and one of them started crying, then the other one started crying, and it just seemed like a madhouse. Well, sometimes it seems like our world's a bunch of little kids running around screaming their heads off. Now, I remember when my son was a child, a baby, the only times he would fuss is when he wanted to be changed, needed to be changed, or he was hungry. Now, that makes sense. I notice that when I'm hungry, I fuss. I notice that when I get kind of anxious when I need to make it to the restroom too. There's certain needs that each of us have that if we don't get those needs fulfilled, if we don't get those needs met, we don't react or respond sometimes in a very logical way. Oftentimes we react to the situation rather than respond to working a solution. Now, let's talk about maybe the people in your family. How's your relationships going? If you got great relationships going with everybody, that's great. But in the past, generally, when I asked the question, somebody would come up with somebody in the family that when they hated getting together for holidays because Uncle Harry would come over, or Aunt Mary would come over, or Grandma Matilda. Somebody was a problem. And I thought, okay, how are we going to deal with that? Well, first of all, we recognize that you're not going to like this, everybody's a reflection of our own consciousness. So we cannot go into this trying to fix other people. What we can do is know the truth within ourselves, one life, perfect life, our life right now, and knowing that that's the life of Aunt Tilda as well, and then recognize that she's a human being, and then maybe she has some unfulfilled, unmet needs, and maybe what we need to do is just engage in conversation and listen. There's some people that are really lonely. And sometimes out of their loneliness, they'll do anything to get attention, including being ornery. And some people are in pain a lot. And I know that when I'm in pain, I'm not necessarily a happy camper either. Now, I hate to admit it, but I had a neighbor long time ago, long before I got into this teaching. I was just a kid of myself. And he had a auto repair shop. And what he did was he had this chain link fence around his shop. It was in Seattle, right off Aurora Avenue. And he got himself a dog, a big dog, to go into this chain link fence to protect things when he was gone. He made that dog mean. He made that dog mean. He made that dog scary by being cruel to it, by being unkind to it. It was really terrible. And nowadays, when I would take a look at that situation, what he did, I would have reported it. What it teaches me this, though, there's people that have not been treated too well growing up. There have been people that have been entire cultures that have been terribly treated. Cruelly treated. And for us just to think, well, that was then and this is now, doesn't really quite cut it. Because what has happened before and how people reacted to what went on, what has happened to them before, affects how they're going to respond today. Before we judge somebody else, let's find out, first of all, what's in our heart. And then let's look into the heart of somebody else, that person that we were going to judge, and find out maybe what that unmet need is. What is the desire that needs to be expressed? I like the Dalai Lama. He said his religion was kindness, and I think that's a great idea. But that kindness requires us to act upon it. It's a great concept, but we need to show that kindness. And so what I'm asking you to do is show that kindness just not to sweet people, but share some of that kindness to those that really need it. The cranky people, the difficult people, the grouchy people, the demanding people, the bossy people. And just see if maybe you can make a friend. And if you can't make a friend, at least make the world a little brighter for everybody. Well, that's all from Yoga and me tonight. I hope you have a great evening. And Reverend Dr. Maxine K will be back with you tomorrow. And so we will bid you good night.